Here, let me turn this camera around. Here at the Ypsilanti meeting, as you can see, they're packed out. They got their data center right here going down. And that's what people are all here about. So we're going to see what's going on. I'm going to hook up the microphone and stuff. Give me a minute here.
Supervisor. We have Alicia Thornton, Stan Eldridge, Treasurer, Debbie Swanson, and Gloria Peterson. Trustee Karen Lovejoy Rowe could not make the meeting, and Trustee Newman is running invite. But we want to welcome everyone that came out on this 96-degree weather day, and we appreciate it. It's important. And just some of the things that we're going to do are Mr. Winters, our township attorney, is going to provide an update. So at our last board meeting, residents asked for another meeting, and they asked for us to ask elected officials to help us with the Los Alamos locating their data. And so we have an update on that. And then I want you to know you can also, after Attorney Winters speaks, we will have 3 minutes for everyone to ask questions or tell us how you feel about Los Alamos and University of Michigan bringing this here, because people want to hear from the residents. We've been a voice, but they haven't been in all our board meetings. They have not heard your voice. They have not heard your concerns. I haven't met anyone yet that supports it, but if you're here, you're welcome. Because we want to hear from what people say about locating Los Alamos with the University of Michigan and Ypsilanti Township. So, Mr. Winters, are you clear?
Good evening. Everybody hear me in the back? Before we get started tonight, maybe by a show of hands, is there three that do not want Los Alamos to locate in our township?
See that? It's the whole room. See that? It's the whole freaking room.
Follow-up request is the township has refused, right, up to now, to negotiate any kind of a resolution with University of Michigan Los Alamos that will allow them to locate here. And if you support the township's position to continue to refuse to negotiate, and I see a show of hands.
Again, whole room. Come on, fucking phone.
You know, thank you very much, because I'll probably say
It was the
some
whole
things
thing,
this
bro.
evening that some of you have heard, some of you may not have heard, and some things I may say may upset some of the people this evening. But at this point in time, serving as township general counsel, people talk about transparency. They throw that term around like spirit change in the throat. It's easy to say transparency and not follow through on what that requires. And so, as you sit here on July 15th, just take note of the following. The University of Michigan has announced that they're going to make a decision any day now as to where they are going to locate their high-performance computational center, which, so you know, is a very elite form of a data center. Not all data centers are high-performance computers, computational centers, but all computational centers are data centers. They continue to try and make a distinction because, unlike Amazon, they don't sell their information for commercial purposes. They are simply focused on one mission Los Alamos is, and that is to conduct these computational scenarios that are going to be used by Los Alamos in New Mexico to reduce plutonium pits. So at the outset, we were told they're going to make an announcement any day. In the last meeting we held on June 16th, the township had passed a resolution that on March 31st of this year, declaring a strong unequivocal opposition to the plans of
No, you're good. Just right there.
locate
Don't step on it.
in Ypsilanti Township. They have two locations. Their radar. One is on property which they have purchased on the corner of Bridge and Textile Road, comprising 144 acres. The other location is located on what we refer to as the former flower plant, the former geomagnetic. That consists of 307 acres. Half of that is being used by ACM, the American Center for Mobility. The remainder is vacant. We have been told and have received confirmation that state officials are pushing hard for you of them in Los Alamos to locate on the Woodland property, which in our resolution, we also strongly objected to, because that's within a state of Westland. And so at the last township meeting on June 16th, we were going through the fact that nobody had responded to our resolution from March, except State Representative Jimmy Wilson. I think there was, I don't know, Leah Mills Chapman had implored the board to reach out to the elected officials one more time. In other words, one more chance to step up and be united as a county against what we perceive to be a present danger in Ypsilanti Township, but to all the surrounding areas here in southeast Michigan, and to send a strong message to the University of Michigan, who doesn't abide by local zoning laws, who are exempt from plan reviews, who don't pay one dime for police and fire protection, who don't pay anything from roads, who doesn't pay anything for anything, that they are not welcome to bring Los Alamos to this community. And so on June 24th, the township's full-time officials, Supervisor Brenda Stumbo, Clerk Deborah Swanson, Treasurer Stan Eldridge, sent out a letter to the U.S. Senators Slotkin and Peters, Congresswoman Dingell, the Washington County Board of Commissioners, State Senator Jeff Irwin, and again, pleaded with them to support the township's resolution. That was not a big ask in terms of where we're sitting, especially in the county board, because contrary to what the response we received from the chairperson, the county board has weighed in on matters involving local units of government in their disputes with state agencies a number of times. I'll just give you an example. So when we asked each of the commissioners to at least take this up as one last chance, the previous time it got brought up, 3 of the commissioners said they had a conflict of interest because they worked in some capacity for the University. You don't need to be a parliamentarian to know that you normally are only allowed to excuse yourself on the issue if you stand to benefit financially or if you have a financial loss. It doesn't matter, that resolution did not move forward. 3 commissioners abstained. So following this chairman's request that we do it one more time, try and find out which side are you on, we received a letter from Katie Scott, who's the chairperson of the county board. And By being chairperson of the county board, I don't necessarily pretend that she speaks for the county board, but she is the county, she signed her letter as the county chair.
He's in that
So,
ass.
what she says in part is, dear Supervisor Stumbo, Swanson, and Eldridge, I'm the trustee. Thank you for your letter regarding the resolution and the proposed Los Alamos facility. As chair of the Washington County Board, I have made it a practice to be mindful of distinct roles and responsibilities. Land use, zoning, and development decisions are matters that are largely entrusted to local municipalities and townships. For that reason, I am generally reluctant to weigh in on matters that fall within the jurisdiction of another governmental body. I would not expect township officials to direct county policy decisions, and I believe the same respect should be afforded in the other direction. Maintaining those boundaries ensure that each level of government can fulfill its responsibilities. So while I respect the concerns raised by township residents and officials, I do not believe it would be appropriate for me to insert myself in a matter that is primary for another. Well, unfortunately, the chairperson, Scott, she somehow forgot back in 2023, when the city of Ann Arbor was in a dispute with MDOT, the Michigan Department of Transportation. They wanted to put some high security fencing in the city of Ann Arbor, along the Erie River. It was right there, now is the city of Ann Arbor. City of Ann Arbor Council did not want the high security fence. So what did the county board do? They passed a resolution on November 15th, 2023, saying that they called on the MDOT to engage with the board of commissioners, the city of Ann Arbor, and to not install the high security fence. Commissioners all voted in support of that, including the ones that really reached out to Commissioner Summerfield, Scott, Sanders.
Here's why.
Mike, Hodge, Laura. And so in live follow-up on the same day, there are a number of comments that were made by Chairperson Scott that seems to be somewhat contradictory to the position that she's now taking when it comes to Los Alamos as opposed to MDOT. She said this. Scott, representing a portion of Ann Arbor, has spoken out against the claim at recent meetings. She attended a MDOT public meeting about the proposal. She heard officials state they were working extensively with city and county representatives. But afterward, everyone she spoke to reported no contact with the agency. "Quote unquote, my blood pressure went
Text him back
250.
and tell him to go to my YouTube channel.
She was very upset.
Now,
Very upset.
it's live right now.
MDOT, the city of Ann Arbor, was in a dispute over installing fence. Commissioner Summerfield said, I don't want to see it happen. I think it will ruin a beautiful thing that we have in the community, which is access to the river, said Commissioner Summerfield. One of the sites in question is located on the banks of the Erie River at Bridge and Taxi Road. Now,
How convenient.
if you don't want to weigh in on a resolution that the township represented, calling upon you as county leaders to stand with the township shoulder to shoulder, and stand up against Los Alamos, if you don't want to do it, if you really believe it's a good thing for Los Alamos to locate in Ypsilanti Township, then just say you do it, just say you support it. But don't try and say you don't weigh in on issues pertaining to local jurisdictions having an issue with a state agency, in this case, University of Michigan, and you've done it in the past, it involved the city of Ann Arbor. The only difference this time, it involved Ypsilanti Township, not the city of Ann Arbor. It involves Los Alamos and U of M, not MDOT. So that is obviously very troublesome. democracy. Now,
Treason.
we also received response from Commissioner Hudson. I just said we received a response to a two-page Facebook post.
It is. I would too.
So, part of this Facebook posting, we've heard this before. We've heard from Lansing, this township has been threatened by people throughout the state of Michigan, that if we don't get behind the University of Michigan, and bring us support us, we're not going to see economic development. Joel, and this time is a little bit different. Now we receive advice from Commissioner Hodge, who says in part that while you see serious concerns about the project, at the same time, I would much rather work collaboratively with the university to secure benefits and investments in our residents, rather than needlessly antagonizing the University of Michigan and receive nothing at all. So, I don't know exactly how this township has done anything to antagonize the University of Michigan. Yeah, I'm saying right now, the only community benefit that we would want is for you to get the hell out of Ypsilanti Township.
Right. Right. This guy actually sticks up for his people. I'll be damned. All right.
Would be truly a community benefit. But make it quite clear, this board has made it clear, show of hands tonight. People right now do not want the township to bend the knee. You're looking at people right now, like this board right now. This is probably the wealthiest group of people that finds the government. This is the wealthiest group of men who probably collectively combined are in way over the billion, mostly in zillions. These are the people that are probably coming to Ypsilanti Township, who are doing a groundbreaking, who have been asked for or received 6% sales and use tax exemption already, and who last night tried to force the Ypsilanti Township Board to take their $4 billion request for another 50% reduction in taxes and elevate that to $43 billion. Supervisor Stumble attended both of those meetings and trying to at least tell, from our perspective, it's hurting the county when you basically give away these tax benefits to this billionaire. This is the billionaire club. You want me, is this who you want Washington County to be subservient to? No. This group of people up here, and what makes it even more insulting right now is that they're going, there's never enough money. So you're not satisfied with the 6% that's resulted in hundreds of millions of dollars in tax savings. They want more. Some of you may remember in 1987, movie Wall Street, they like Michael Douglas, they the character Roy Gecko. He's the one that delivered this line, that when you hear this is who he's talking. He was one. He said, ladies and gentlemen, greed, for lack of a better word, is good. Greed is right. Greed works. Greed clarifies, cuts through and captures the essence of the evolutionary spirit. Greed, in all its forms, has marked the upward surge of mankind. We totally disagree with it. And we would also totally disagree with the fact, in spite of our request to get assistance from the U.S. senators, no response. Congressman Dingman did send out a list of questions that were answered. It was basically public relations propaganda. How to do that. And the next issue about the next bill. addition to what they receive up here, the state of Michigan is also have blood on their hands in regards to this.
No, you're good. Just don't kick it.
Coming to
You still didn't look at it. Pointing to the floor.
it was built
Jesus Christ.
it was from the very beginning based on a lot. The initial application filed by Los Alamos or U of M, that they were gonna build a couple more buildings on a quarter of 10,000 over 20 acres. And that's the way it's moving. Based upon that, they didn't come to the township board, who asked the township board to support this project. They went to Ann Arbor Spark and got a letter from the chairperson of Ann Arbor Spark, who's now an interim president of ACM. Gets the letter that says right now how great this project's going to be, and the MEDC could not wait. Healthiest university in this country. And also a university that's got $21 billion endowment. Could not wait to give University of Michigan $100 million. So they've given them $100 million.
MEDC and MDOT Hudson's canceling.
In spite of the fact they contribute $0. Now, I guess we could, do what Commissioner Hyde suggested. I guess we could do what Michigan said, sit down again. Let's make a deal. I want you to remember money, all right? What's behind door number one? Right. What's behind door number two? What's behind door number three? But I would ask those commissioners and the University of Michigan, Los Alamos, that wants us to sit down, bend the knee, and negotiate. What price you gonna put on the value of clean air?
Yes.
What's the going rate for clean air? Is there a price for clean water? Is there a price for making our neighborhoods basically a high value target zone that's going to depress property values? Who's going to pay the mortgage when the person wants to sell their house and find that they're upside down because the property values are going to go down and people don't want to live into what is truly a high value target, in spite of what they say, in spite of their denials. It is. So what's the going rate to that? Jack Berman suggested, say Senator, well, I'm sure the University of
Oh. My man's savage eating.
Her response that she needs to stay out because it would involve her district, the county government, or we should somehow make it a deal with the Michigan because we don't antagonize them. Mr. Hodges' words, not mine. We don't antagonize them. Because then they might do worse up to bed. You might write more in the township, okay?
You might not want to antagonize me.
In 6 weeks of buying the property, we are now going to put $175 million library on our 40th campus. I made that announcement today while they're hunkered down in Traverse City. That's where the board of regents is meeting tomorrow. So I have no problem making a decision like that pretty quickly when it comes to making things better for Ann Arbor. Once you cross US 23 Carpenter Road, we're different story. We're viewed differently because, as you said before the last meeting, and the resident told us in a very cheerful letter, we don't matter. We don't matter. We don't get a generational wealth. We are much more highly diversified. Our population is much more diversified. The opportunity index that we have, clearly shows the disparity that exists in Washington County. It's still divided by race and place. We have life expectancy of African American brown people 17 years less than the rest of the county. How is that even something that can be possible in this day and age? Education opportunities. This goes on and on and on. In regards to this $100 million, we just witnessed what happened last year. We're giving these people billions of dollars, okay? We're giving them billions of dollars. They're gonna give the University of Michigan $100 million, but they're taking away Medicaid benefits for residents in this state. They take away the SNAP benefits for nutritional needs. People are still right now trying to figure out how they're going to recover from the loss of power when they had to throw away hundreds of dollars in food. Don't worry, DTE, who also is part of this, they said we get a $42 coupon.
Go away. The whole 42 is mine?
Basically, they give you 2 pieces, I guess, and they go, well, once you lost and all your food. But this is what the response is of the township in regards to the county board that we bend the knee, and we negotiate, and the state of Michigan, as well as University of Michigan, this will be our response. We reject the premise that this community should negotiate community benefits in exchange for supporting a project that our residents believe is fundamentally incompatible with the future they want in Ypsilanti Township. A community benefit agreement cannot transform an unacceptable project into an acceptable one. You cannot eliminate concerns that residents sincerely hold. You cannot substitute for public trust. And it cannot purchase the consent of a community that believes that a project should not be built here in the first place. The question before us is not, quote, what is the price of our support? The question is this the right project for this community? If the answer is no, which it is, then no amount of money, landscaping, boardwalks, road improvements, grants, or promises changes that answer. Township is not for sale. Our principles are not for sale. Our residents' voices are not for sale. The responsibility of this township board is not to negotiate to the highest bidder. It is to protect the health, safety, and welfare and long-term interests of the people who elected this township board. Communities like the township should never be placed in a position of choosing between their convictions and financial incentives. Public policy should be based on whether the project serves the public interest, not on what benefits are offered in exchange for accepting it. When government begins asking communities to bargain away deeply held objections in return for compensation, it sends a message that every concern has a price. That is not the foundation of good government. The foundation of good government is integrity, transparency, and respect for local decision making. The township welcomes investment that aligns with our community's values and long-term vision. We welcome projects that earn public confidence through openness and collaboration. But we cannot support the idea that opposition to a project should simply become another item in a negotiation. If this project truly serves the public interest, it should be able to stand on its own merits. It does not, and no package of community benefits can justify asking this township to abandon its judgment. Our position is not based on what we can get. It's based on what we believe is right. Ypsilanti Township is not a commodity to be purchased. It is a community to be respected. And our community is not for sale. Yeah. University of Michigan's response to the Congresswoman Geneva, because they want you to believe in their response that the township board, especially myself, ones who came up with this term, high value target. It's a high value target. Well, I guess the internet works both ways. I probably was the last person on this board that still had a football. Okay? So that was given up when the Smithsonian called and asked for the football. So I finally also started doing research, and that probably was not necessarily the best thing for people who want to tell us that there's no such thing as a high value target. Well, it's funny because on January 30th, University of Michigan had what we call basically a science fair. It wasn't an opportunity to have a question and answer dialogue. It was where you walked around and you saw the board. And they tried to direct it from one board to another. But somewhere along the way, they, in their response to David Jacob, they forgot, maybe this article still exists. It's basically, the headline makes it quite clear. Los Alamos confirmed University of Michigan data center to be used for nuclear weapons research. Okay, let's get that out there in the open. It's going to be used for nuclear weapons research. Okay, now they want to say, well, they're not going to manufacture weapons there. That's good to know. We're not going to test live nuclear weapons there. Thank you. But it's going to be used because, as Chris Cole, the vice president of government relations, like to say, this facility, and it's probably true, will have, in his words, the biggest, baddest, fastest computers in the world. Those computers that he's talking about is not for the benefit of the University of Michigan. Those computers are to allow Los Alamos to do millions and billions of computational research because they're going to be doing a research that pertains to plutonium pits. And you might ask yourself, okay, I've heard this name, I've heard this phrase, what is a plutonium pit? Like in your car. It has to be something that will ignite the gasoline that will allow the car to move forward. Okay? So you don't necessarily need to be a physicist to understand that a plutonium pit is what triggers the nuclear weapon. Now, the present administration has made it quite clear that they are going to change the name of the Department of Defense to the Department of War. That's what it's called, Department of War. And he has mandated that Los Alamos, New Mexico, increase the production of plutonium pits to about 80 per year for the next 5 years. And the research that is going to be conducted, and that information will allow them to develop the next nuclear weapons. They are basically right now, they have a stockpile of nuclear weapons or a stockpile of plutonium pits, and they're going to gradually take the old and transfer it into a new plutonium pit that's going to be studied in this facility. And if that study makes this facility, that study in the name Los Alamos makes this a high value target. Now, interestingly enough, again, you can do your own research, let's take my word for it. But you can go out there and you can ask, what's the criteria that the federal government uses to whether installation, or in this case Los Alamos, is a high value target? Is there criteria? And there is criteria. How is it applied to the context of Los Alamos? Well, there is criteria. There's 10 criteria. It doesn't mean that you have to check the box on all 10. But ironically, in the case of Los Alamos, they checked the box on all 10. Okay? National security mission. Yes. They're supporting U.S. Department of Energy on national security research that increases its strategic importance. Critical infrastructure, yes. Biggest, baddest, fastest computers in the world, it's critical infrastructure. Unique computational capability, yes. There's articles online, we interviewed the professors at Berkeley, from U of M, they're going to be studying the effects based upon worldwide events. They're going to allow them to send this information to Los Alamos in New Mexico. We've talked to people from New Mexico, Los Alamos. They even called here one day and asked Supervisor Stumblow's deputy supervisor, why do you call us a high value target? And when he asked for more information, they hung up the phone. And like I've said before, we don't have the biggest, baddest, fastest computers in the world, but we have caller ID, okay? So on their message, we saw their phone number, we called it back, and yes, it was Los Alamos, they called relations, wanted to know why they referred to them as a tier 1 high value target. Continuing on, do they have unique computational capability? Yes. Economic significance? Yes. It's a $1.2 billion computing campus. It's a substantial economic investment. Symbolic value, does anybody question that? Is there any facility that you can think of that's more symbolically valued as being a symbol of its role in national security research, nuclear weapons than Los Alamos from the former Manhattan Project? I mean, come on, be serious. This is Los Alamos. Classified research, absolutely. You have already been told themselves. You won't be allowed to come into the portion of our facility, even though we're going to build this together, you're not allowed to come into it. Defense affiliation, absolutely. Physical assets, yes. Visibility, yes. In other words, it checks every box in regards to what constitutes a high value target. Now, you look at what's happening here in this country. And we would have thought that back in February that you would see this war break out in the Mideast, and you've seen actually already the capabilities of what drones can do. The Amazon data center is located in the United Arab Emirates, located in Bahrain. And every data center right now, and all this is part, but it's not considered to be a critical asset. And there's none more critical, more symbolic than Los Alamos. That's right. And to continue to try and fool people that this is a term that was made up by the township board or by your township attorney, not true. Not true. Do we, right now, we would rather not even put people in a position where they feel right now that they are going to be living near a nuclear weapons research facility. In our resolution, that we can't get anybody to really, as a body, approve, we pointed out that again, this is a stone throw from West World. Again, this is another example of environmental racism. Environmental injustice that continues to dominate and permeate the border regions at the University of Michigan and their decision-making process, and also with Los Alamos because they don't care. The people from Los Alamos and New Mexico told us that they have done nothing but exploit brown people in Los Alamos for 8 decades. They have created a monumental environmental disaster out there in New Mexico that they cannot get cleaned up because the federal government does not want to do anything to help the people in New Mexico. Do you think they care anything more about Ypsilanti Township?
It's a hard no.
Single most compelling reason why this township board has determined and feels strongly that Los Alamos constitutes a tier 1 high value security risk is that number one, it would transform Ypsilanti Township into a symbolic extension of the United States nuclear and national security infrastructure. And therefore, overnight, it would transform this area into a potential target in an age of cyber warfare, terrorism, geopolitical conflict, and drone attacks. Please, know this, Los Alamos is not an ordinary research institution. Again, it is one of the most recognizable and strategically important national security laboratories in the world. Again, its origins are inseparable from the Manhattan Project and the creation of the atomic bomb. To allies, adversaries, terrorists, hostile intelligence services, and extremist organizations alike, the Los Alamos name represents American military dominance, nuclear capability, advanced weapons science, intelligent operations, and technological superiority. That reality fundamentally changes the risk profile of any community tied to it. The issue is not whether missiles are going to rain down on Ypsilanti Township, but the issue is that modern warfare no longer depends upon traditional battlefields. America's adversaries target infrastructure, cyber systems, energy grids, computing networks, research ecosystems, and symbolic national assets. National laboratories connected to nuclear security, artificial intelligence, and supercomputing, defense technologies are universally understood to be amongst the highest value strategic targets in this country. The Los Alamos Lake facility instantly elevates Ypsilanti Township from a local civilian community into a location associated with America's national defense apparatus. And once that association exists, keep in mind, this is going to be a reality. The township no longer controls how hostile actors are going to perceive or view them. To foreign adversaries, extremist groups, cyber operatives, lone actors seeking symbolic impact, the Los Alamos brand alone carries immense propaganda value. An attack, physical, digital, or symbolic, against anything associated with Los Alamos would command international attention immediately. This is precisely why such facilities are treated as critical national infrastructure requiring extraordinary protection. The most alarming aspect is that Ypsilanti Township is not designed, we're not designed to function as a hardened national security zone. This is a residential community. It contains neighborhoods, schools, churches, parks, local businesses, apartment complex, public roads, hardworking families who never agreed to become adjacent to infrastructure carrying heightened geopolitical and national security implications. Washington County Sheriff's Office and other local police agencies are not federal counterterrorism units. Township emergency response systems are not equipped to respond to sophisticated cyber attacks, drone incursions, coordinated sabotage, infrastructure disruption, or attacks aimed at nationally significant assets. Yet the presence of a Los Alamos affiliated operation would impose precisely those risks upon this township. This is what makes the issue so profound. The people of Ypsilanti Township, all of us, all of you, bear the risk of the powerful institutions, University of Michigan, federal contractors, developers, and billion-dollar interests. They're the ones who are going to reap the benefits, okay? He will too. But you saw the picture. The residents are going to inherit the consequences. Heightened security, infrastructure vulnerability, cyber targeting risk, emergency preparedness burdens, reputational stigma, scarlet letter, long-term uncertainty about future expansion of sensitive operations. And make no mistake, once the federal government, through the University of Michigan, gains a foothold, a footprint in this township or any other township, you will not have the ability to say no to phase 2, to phase 2A, to phase 3, and on and on and on. We've never consented to becoming a part of this country's expanded national security footprint. This is, again, a civilian residential community. It teaches that strategic assets become targets, not because of what they do, but because of what they symbolize. Placing any extension of Los Alamos into this township is not routine economic development. It is the introduction of nationally significant infrastructure into the heart of an ordinary community. Citizens have every right, all of you have every right, and an obligation to ask the township as to whether this township should be transformed into a focal point of geopolitical hostility, cyber warfare, or symbolic targeting. This is not fear-mongering. It is recognizing the reality. In the 21st century, national security threats no longer remain confined to distant military bases or overseas battlefields. They increasingly involve attacks on infrastructure, technology, and symbols of American power embedded within the civilian communities themselves. And few names, if any, carry more strategic symbolism than Los Alamos. Recent conflicts in the Middle East have shown the world something that security experts have been warning about for years. Modern warfare is changing. Drones have become inexpensive, difficult to detect, and capable of reaching targets that once seemed untouchable. Critical infrastructure, whether power stations, industrial facilities, communications, or data centers, is now part of that modern battlefield. This should cause every elected official in Washington County, state of Michigan, and the federal government to pause and think carefully what you are asking this township board, this community, to shoulder. Why us? If it was so important to the University of Michigan, it was that important to the University of Michigan that they maintain their contracts with Los Alamos. It was so important that they wanted to be known as the Department of War and be tied to Hillsdale College instead of the colleges such as MIT, Harvard, Georgetown. It was so important that they somehow give up their PhD program and abolish the DEI program because they could not do that program, those programs, and be considered to be a partner with the Trump's Department of War. But it was that important for them to maintain this relationship with Los Alamos, they could have built this damn Los Alamos in the city of Ann Arbor. Instead, we'll put $165 million in the library over there on the property, which quite ironically consists of 144 acres, which is exactly the same number of acres as this and almost identical to the 150 acres that currently remains available at ACM. Starting to see what we're saying, right?
Yeah.
Yes. In Arbor, no. Come on over here to township. What are you gonna do about it? You're not ready to fight politically. They don't have the generational wealth. They have to take it. That's why this township board has been so intent on trying to reach out to our elected officials to simply inquire, which side are you on? Where do you stand? If you support it, fine. But you can't just take a,
On the record.
you can't just sit there and say, I'm not gonna vote. This is too important an issue. And if you're not, if you can't take a vote on this, then you should really question whether or not you should be representing Ypsilanti Township.
Right. My man's killing it.
As I said before, this project, this magnitude, there does not come with an undo button. Once it happens, the genie's out of the bottle. There have been no independent security assessments that were made public. There has been no law enforcement emergency response studies shared with us. Let's talk about complaint on transparency. Okay? Let's talk about it. Back in May, I wrote a letter, a FOIA request, to University of Michigan. And it was very detailed. I think by now, I've been practicing for 48 years. I think I know how to write a FOIA request. I think I know how to make it clear as to which documents that I'm actually asking. So if I ask for the environmental impact reports on this property, it's pretty clear. When I ask for, the water analysis that you're going to be requiring of YCUA, that's pretty clear. When I ask for reports in regards to what kinds of negotiations as you had with Ypsilanti Township or possibly using that property over there, some part of this Los Alamos, pretty clear. And I've asked them all those questions, very, very clear questions. So instead, I actually get back a response from the FOIA officer saying right now, it would take us to, this is overly burdensome, your request. And we don't have the capability of doing a local search and actually trying to find those documents. And so we're not able to fulfill your request. And this is the university that's going to have the biggest, baddest, and fastest computers located over here. So no one can even fulfill my FOIA request because they don't want, there's no transparency here. So that's where we fit in their eyes. You don't matter. So I would say this right now. When new information comes our way, and I say new information, in the beginning, we were led to believe this was much more about University of Michigan. Los Alamos was almost kind of like that, something that nobody even was talking about. But the more information we gathered, and the more information that we learned, when the war in the Mideast breaking out, we saw what was actually happening. So with new information, it changes not only the landscape, it also requires responsible leaders to reassess. But instead of reassessing, many of the same people that I mentioned, instead of reassessing, they double down. They double down and say, well, you're antagonizing U of M because you're questioning why you want to do it.
Who are
You're
they?
antagonizing it. Double down.
Who pay their taxes?
Across the world, we've seen how ignoring these realities is not responsible leadership. Preparing for them is. It's not about fear, it's about foresight. It's about asking whether this is truly the right location. It's about protecting the families who live here today and the children who will grow up here tomorrow. U of M and Los Alamos say, trust us. Trust us. Trust is only earned through transparency, not by refusing to respond to FOIA requests that goes to the heart of what you're doing out there, what you're planning to do out there. U of M and Los Alamos tells us, well, the odds of drone attack are low. You can guarantee that? Every emergency plan that's ever written exists because its leaders prepared for events they hoped it never happened. Some will say, they will say this project needs opportunity. Opportunity for who?
Right.
More people up there, the federal contractors, the billionaire class, that's who it's gonna bring, because the 200 jobs, and now they're supposed to be 20 per year for 10 years. Now we've been told that those positions are gonna be located at least in Los Alamos or Ypsilanti, Michigan, at the Oracle Saline location. They're not even gonna be there. So I would say in closing on this issue, that this township is not a testing ground. Again, we're not going to be treated as some laboratory rat by the University of Michigan. Our neighborhoods are not bargaining chips. Township is not anti-science, it's pro-community. It's not anti-technology, it's pro-responsibility. So I would just ask once and for all of us stand together, speak with one voice, demand transparency, demand accountability, and let's demand that the safety of our families come before any development, because this township is worth protecting, our future is worth protecting, and our township is worth fighting for.
Bravo! You can hear it. God damn it. Oh, you can.
Thank you, Mr. Leonard, very much appreciated. It's an important issue, and there's a lot of information that we have garnered over the last year. And it's just not good information to have this type of development in. What we have two people with microphones. Anyone that would like to speak, we will bring the microphone to you. And there's a 3-minute time limit. And we want you to really tell us how you feel about these projects. Other elected officials, MEDC, they want to hear how our residents really feel about this. So we welcome it, and we'll take our time. Sure. For 3 minutes. Who's the first person? Corey?
Hi, my name is Anthony Hudson. Some of you may know who I am. I am running for governor here in the state of Michigan. I am the only name on your November ballot as of today. You said everything I wanted to say, so now I'm gonna say something different. Thank you. Where do we stand as a society? Michigan says no. I say no. I'm prepared to issue a 2-year statewide mandatory moratorium on every data center and flock camera system across the state of Michigan come January 1st, 2027. We will take back what is ours. I have been to 32 data center meetings across the state of Michigan. And in every one of them, 99% of the people say no. So why is this even a question? Why are you even trying to sell us on the reasons why we should say no? We've already spoken. What's in Los Alamos stays in Los Alamos. It doesn't come to Michigan. We're not responsible for what they're trying to do. They have desert land. They can put a data center out there. They can use the Colorado River if they want to. I don't care as long as it's not our water. I have stood by, for, and from the people of the state of Michigan on every major topic that concerns each and every one of you. Data centers don't belong here. And I will refuse to give taxpayer dollars to any community that tries to build one when you go against the word of the people. Board members work for us. We are your employer. Your job in government is to do what we say to do. If you don't, we can recall you and replace you. That's the power of government. The Bill of Rights says that government was created to defend and protect your God-given rights in this country. And I ask, does the Constitution even exist when board members and the government walk all over those documents every single day? So I stand out here with the people, and I say hell no to Los Alamos, hell no to Michigan, New Mexico, and hell no to the invasion of our state. What belongs to Michigan belongs to the people. And we're done.
cities in the United States, and they have the capability to protect a facility like that. And if they want to be so badly affiliated with U of M, why doesn't U of M just put a satellite center there? I haven't heard any good reason why they're not building it there.
Zoning law, thank you. If people want to get their name in pen, and please let us know if you're from Ypsilanti Township, because we do want to hear that. We want to know that. No, we're not going to, you don't want to. Next. So, I don't understand, there's two questions I have. Number one, you've got the University of Michigan, and the president comes out in his beautiful letter to Congressman Dingell, and he says that we're about to make a decision about, but we are seriously re-looking at our options that will run because of the severe environmental impact there. So gee, let's just go over here to Textile and Bridge, and let's just severely environmentally impact our river and our lakes and our parks. And there's an elementary school right down the street. Why would they think that that's right? And my second question is please stop saying, Governor Whitmer, that you are going to make them be responsible for not raising electrical rates. That's a lie. L-I-E, lie. They don't raise the rates. DTE raises your rates because they require so much electricity, they have to go and buy it from wherever they can get it, and they're going to have to pay top dollar for it, which is going to make us pay top dollar for it as well. And the lies just keep coming. And I'm sorry, one more thing. If I see one more piece of stupid propaganda, then I know that my copy didn't make it out of the mailbox. I ripped it out and threw it back in. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Elizabeth Frazier. I live over in one of the apartment complexes that's very close to where they're proposing this monstrosity at. And, you know, my family is originally from southeastern Kentucky. My grandparents were part of coal mines in Martin County. And they saw what happened when a conglomerate like Peabody Coal came in, decimated the area, and left it poor. And the reason why these places pick areas like us is because we're a lower socioeconomic area, and they assume that we aren't as sophisticated enough, as smart as the rest of them, and so they prey upon us to just kind of ignore and not even realize that what they're doing is harming a community, because why should they care? We're not going to bring in money for them. We're just working class people. So I've seen this happen over and over and over again, and it's a shame. U of M is, as we know, one of the prestigious schools, but yet they're willing to sacrifice an area just because we're considered to not be as smart. And I really think it's a big shame that they have other nuts, and they should feel ashamed that they are going to make us a sacrificial lamb to Los Alamos.
Lori, you're good. Yeah. Go ahead. I got one more. Okay. Do you want us to go? Someone stand up. Go ahead, Lori.
Hello, everyone. My name is Denise Kirchhoff. I think I know you said you wanted us to ask questions. I have a question for everybody in this room. Who the hell thinks that Washington County did not know that U of M in Los Alamos for over 7 years was about to spend, what, $125 billion in our community? So that And actually, right now, Los Alamos actually has two people, they're two advisors, basically, who have been on their payroll for 7 years, who work with U of M. So I guess that just went unnoticed by everybody and everybody that holds an office in our community of all of Washington County. How you miss the fact that U of M in Los Alamos was building $8 billion complex in this community, and look all of us in the eye and go, we just found out when you did. You know what, we don't believe you. But there's a good thing about this. I also work on shutting down data centers in my home state, great state of Alabama. We have partnered with national and international organizations to create web pages to let you know who's what. We're also working with the ACLU. So when people come back and the politicians come back and say, I didn't say that, oh, I'm working with Harvard Law. And actually we're working with the New York Times, and they're gonna be like, nah, you actually said, if you wanna take us to court and deal with it, we'll deal with it. So they will be rolling out a web page here. So we will actually know who knew what when. And they're actually working with people who no longer work for Los Alamos, and they know about all the NDAs. And now these people are going to talk, because you know what? It's got that. And I think something else we all need to know. Think about this for 5 seconds. In 3 years, the amount of data centers that we have in the state of Michigan will consume 150 million gallons of water that will no longer be usable in 3 years. In 3 years. Think about that. Those are our Great Lakes, 150 million gallons of unusable water. So all I can say is I'm looking forward to the website, because I've seen it in other states, and I'm loving watching the politicians go, oh, I made that? December 5th, 2025, 2024. I think we should all look it up.
Hello, my name is Kevin Davis. I am a recently retired data center engineer. I used to work for Ford for a long time and Michigan Medicine. I've literally zero skin in this game anymore, so please don't say I'm fake. You can hate me all you want, but I'm a published expert in this field. The same people spreading stuff about data centers are the ones who told you to take a horse dewormer because COVID vaccine has Bill Gates nanobots in it. The same people that voted for the guy who had all the tech oligarchs line up at his inauguration. Data centers have been around since the 50s. Every decently sized company has at least one. Ford has 6. They're just where those companies put their computer stuff that they need to do business with, like inventory and HR. Hey, I let you speak. Okay, cool. That's not on the record. Can I have my time back? All anyone hears about is the 4 data centers that are run by jerks like Musk that don't care about regulations or capacity planning. All the others have been completely unseen for decades. Sounds similar to eugenics, honestly. That Nazi ideology. Kill them all because we can prove some are bad. Please take a second to understand, this isn't some conspiracy. The internet, Facebook, all of it is hosted in data centers. It has been for decades. The AI hyperscale DCs are just more power dense. You need at least 4 data centers to read the invite for this. Your cell phone provider's infrastructure, one of their internet backbone providers, another backbone provider, and Facebook's infrastructure. The hypocrisy is comical. Websites live in data centers. Data centers in Ann Arbor's neighbors include data centers in Ann Arbor have neighbors consisting of several parks, a school of music, a private high school, a church, and the mall. Ann Arbor and Washtenaw County are incredibly smart on average. I would say that we're not dumb at all. HPC is also how we research cancer treatments, how we got to space, and how we map the genome. The White Sands bomb range is no more radioactive than a banana farm. New Mexico is poor as hell and under severe water rationing. There have been 2 total attempts at a terror attack on a national lab. Neither succeeded. The The National Labs program is a lot more than the nuclear stockpile management. Clean energy research, the internet itself started in national labs. The only thing that NLs and OpenAI have in common is their computer stuff. The National Labs Project is a federal government nonprofit. U of M is a state nonprofit. Don't we think that actual silos, Groom Lake, NORAD, the Global Theater Command data centers, or the White House would be higher value targets that are remote in addition to also mostly outdated research facility? LANL's nuclear weapons research is to assure our existing stockpile is safe. The Comprehensive Test Ban Treaty still exists. The computers are the next generation of HP and Cray HPC products that started in 1972. What side are you on is a terrifyingly undemocratic way to put it. This is a refusal to approach the negotiating table.
Next time you don't come to get a bitch, say it to my face. What's your name again? What's your name
Let's not
again?
get into it.
The Los Alamos website itself contradicts everything you just said, so that's very interesting.
All right. Hello, my name's Jason Dye, and I'm running for Attorney General under the Libertarian ticket for this great state. In response to my gentleman here who's walking out, we can put data centers in here, absolutely. You ain't touching my water, you ain't touching my power, you ain't touching my land, you ain't vibrating on my animals, you ain't doing any environmental concern, period. Now that we get always, can I have my time back, please? Thank you. Thank you. And besides all of the environmental violations, which is a violation of life, liberty, property, constitutional plus Declaration of Independence, 1st and 14th, if you didn't know. Next, it's a Fourth Amendment violation. Most of these data centers, if you really get down and do the research, is for these dumbass flock cameras. Period, point blank. They're trying to mass surveil us. That's what their whole entire agenda's about and everything else. That's why they need all these hyperscales, like that guy said. We've had data centers here for a while, not so much in Michigan, but you know, these other corporations, internet websites, that ain't what it's for, moron. You know what I mean? Let's just get real what it is. Why are these, you got your flock cameras right in going with the same exact stuff as the data centers all over the US. Look at it. It's not just happening here. So what I propose is there is no surveillance of we the people. That's a Fourth Amendment violation. We're supposed to be secure in our persons, papers, houses, and effects. That and effects, man, that pesky and effects. I'm telling you, it's really screwing them up. Next, when they violate that, is it or is it not the people's right to abolish unconstitutional government and government actions? It's not just a right, it's a duty, man. That's how this was written. So what, they're trying to set this up to, go on kind of a mainstream scale and, start some war and this and that. No, dude, this is we the people's rights to come together. And like this wonderful lady here just said that I think is awesome, the ACLU and their websites and such, I've got with some people, we created our own. WTPN.news. We the People Network.news is what that stands for. And right now we're tracking every single vote, data center, flock cameras, all of it. You're going to have all the dirt on every public official, just like what she's saying. We've been doing that, So it's all about transparency. And again, since you want to surveil the people, that's a Fourth Amendment violation. You want to know what's not a Fourth Amendment violation? We the people surveilling the government. And as Attorney General, and my buddy here, Anthony, who's running for governor, we'll be the first two to install cameras in our office. Have every one of our books on display, finances, everything. Let the people see everything. I wonder how many other government officials or government actors, should we say, would be willing to do that. And also, if you guys like, AI so much, why don't we let it crawl all these politicians' books for the past 10 years? I think that'll tell us a lot of secrets, won't it? This is the stuff we propose, because we're we the people. We're not sold out to PAC money. I watched this man over here turn down PAC money and get quite passionate doing it, just like I was myself. We're not for sale. Our kids ain't for sale. Our health ain't for sale. Our environment ain't for sale. And we're done. That's why I'm running on Tread on Them. We all know old Marvin, he's a great man.
amazing that people who have not been a part of this community from the beginning will sit here and write letters, but not care about this community. It's not about a letter. It's about us. It's about our grandkids. It's about our great grandkids. That's for the future. And it's equally about our seniors and even who are just in the middle. It's about all of that. Because you know what? We deserve to have our communities destroyed. And you know what? It's a lot of people that are being paid, and I'll say that, in order to sit down, write letters, and shut up. If your elected official believes that that is okay, you do need to recall them out of office. And I'll say it well to the two that's here. Not because I'm not trying to run for anything, and let's get that clear as well. I believe that government is for the people, by the people, and anyone in elected office should listen directly to all of these people in regards to what they want. If your job is something different than that, then either you need to resign or be recalled. That's the bottom line. Hi, I'm Mari. I live in one of the apartment complexes around Fort Lake, and I get to watch the bald eagles and the hawks and the blue heron, great blue heron, and all the wildlife. And our Fort Lake is still not recovered, fully. It's still in need of healing. So it's very disturbing to me to think about a data center going in on textile, which is just at the tip of the lake. And, we know what's going to happen to the lake. It's going to get even worse. It's going to affect all of the people and all the wildlife. So I guess my question, one thing I want to say is, Ypsilanti Township folks, what else is happening? I remember reading something about this moratorium. What else besides letters is in place to block them from doing what they're trying to do?
Good evening, my name is, pardon?
I'm sorry.
You are actor?
No, they don't answer to the end.
They don't answer.
Not to the end.
Sorry.
You're good.
No, my name is William Chapman. First I want to say, I am one that cares about my community. I'm not here to run for office. This is just my care, my concern. I live in West Little. That's my family. That's my grandbaby.
And this is you.
That's my children. That's for me. That is my community. So I don't want for anybody to say, oh, she is doing it. That's not what this is about. This is about my care concern. So when first I would also say thank you all for doing the work that you've been doing, right? And for standing up for our residents. When I look at this, and we're having a lot of questions about the University of Michigan, their affiliation. Attorney Winters, you made mention about Spark, and the director of Spark is a gentleman I believe by the name of Paul Kirko. Just recently, I found out he additionally is the interim director or president of ACM, which is the old armor plant, which is the site that they're looking at bringing this data center to. When I went into the internet just to kind of, fiddle around and see what I could find, I saw that they were in debt and had received a loan from the state of Michigan for $35 million, of which they have not repaid. So as I look at this, I had to keep going down the road and I said, well, let's see what sort of affiliation does ACM have with UMass. And I see that they were the founding partners with ACM. So when you all ask the question about where does UMass fit in this equation and how are we bought and sold, it was because ACM is in debt. So it's not just solely about the fact that this is a space that will suit what it is that needs to to that institution. Now that same person who signed on the dotted line gets it on the back end, and now he's able to pay off his debts. You all, we are being bought and sold by so many.
Facts.
By so many. U of M is playing everybody. And no, who was the gentleman? I know he got a bit left. No, we're not done. I'm a two-time graduate from the University of Michigan, nowhere near being done. And so I read in between the lines. I read when people use very obscure language. I see what is really truly going on. And they are being rescued and paid off. So the state gets their money back, U of M gets a little extra, and now ACM has some relief. This is a problem. To me, it's a conflict of interest. And so I would admonish and hope that as we continue to move forward and doing our discovery work, that we drill down on Paul Prepo and ACM is smart. Thank you.
This is one follow-up comment. Township did request YCUA to enact a one-year moratorium on issuing any water and sewer permits for data centers because the science is not actually known right now as to what effects these data centers are going to have on the water and wastewater, especially with the underground infrastructure. We have noticed that we've been receiving reports that these data centers will actually hit the ground as far as 15 miles from the data centers.
Yep.
We've actually may have seen in Cheyenne, Wyoming, where the Board of Public Utilities there shut down Meta's data center because their contractor introduced bacteria into the wastewater. So we're seeing over and over right now, the state of Michigan got way over their skis in their zeal to attract these billionaire class. They don't have the science, no one has it, to know what the consequences, intended or otherwise, are going to be. Years ago, all of us witnessed where a number of chemicals were told were safe, and now carcinogens. Whether it's asbestos, PFAS, DET,
PFAS, main one.
we do not want any more, we don't want any data centers constructed, whether it's in this township or somewhere else, as long as they're in the YCU, until we know exactly what the impacts are going to be. Contrary to what people may think it right now, township and YCUA are looking at being experts around the country. They can actually give a thoroughly vetted, peer review as to what those effects are going to be. We know there are going to be some. You're already starting to hear the noise, the thermal heating of the ground, and the corrosion, the additives. Just a question as to just what those ultimate impacts are going to be. And it doesn't do any good to rush in and do a data center, and then 5 and 10 years later, try and catch up because it was a whoops moment, because now what was thought to be okay is now proven to be a carcinogen. And we've seen that play out. You're still seeing that play out with government science over here in America. They're continuing right now for 30 years. It's still doing that flow. So Yucca is leading the charge, trying to make sure that we don't ever issue any permits until they've done their due diligence, which should have been done by the state beforehand, not by us. But here's the name, that's what we stand here for due diligence investigations.
Juliana, yep.
Hello, my name is Finn McCarty. I live in the city of Ypsilanti, and I also happen to be a representative, a youth delegate, representative, whatever the term would be, from the Washington Environmental Council. And I was just coming here to say that the University of Michigan and Los Alamos Labs, their profit motives for this whole data center thing is it goes beyond just what the data center does or such like that. It's beyond that. It's more so the once the effects start taking place, I feel, or we know that once they gain access to the effects of like the monetary value that they would gain from larger bodies, like whatever's paying for all of this to be put into place, we know that we'll just continue the production, the data centers more so, and to where once the profit motives reach a high enough point, no matter whether or not they are saying that they'll meet all of the safety requirements or anything like that, once profit outweighs the need for safety requirements, no amount of fines will cover the money that it's gaining for them. It's all just cost of business for them, really. And once you have all of that in place, it's going to be much, much harder to get rid of it.
Thank you very much. My name is Anthony Stevens. Sorry? Okay, can you hear me now? All right, my name is Tim Stevens. I live in Ypsilanti Township. I'm Eastern Michigan University graduate, and I work online doing tech support work. But what it has been mentioned by any of the companies that are building these data centers is there's certain inconvenient other costs that they're not talking about. Number one, over the next 10 years, 9% of all jobs will be lost to artificial intelligence. Number two, due to the heat and the frequencies generated by the data centers locally, we're up to over a mile range. There are colonies of bees are dying off around data centers, which means the crops aren't getting pollinated, the farmers are losing their fields, and of course the data centers are buying up their land. But also the water. For one of these data centers, that the one in Saline is estimated they're going to have once it's built, we're going to have 450 permanent employees. And I'm surprised that this data center that they're talking about building here is also 1.4 gigawatts. Even though it's on a smaller plot of land, the other one is single story. The barn is two single story buildings, 250 acres each. This one on 140 acres, I believe it's a multi-story building they were planning with a basement, but the same power consumption. But right on the Huron River, you're going to be increasing the water temperature, which you already have an algae problem. We're already digging down dams to try to get the fish populations to come back into the Huron River. The longer thing, we have farms in the area can lose their land. We could have, other things they don't talk about, other contamination. Sometimes we'll find out until years down the road when they're too big and powerful to do it. I mean, I should know. It took me 47 years to find out when I was born with 3 fingers on my hand, half in 1 year, missing nerves in my face. My face is distorted too. But all those birth defects are from a genetic disorder called Mobius syndrome, which happens in the 6th week of pregnancy, and it's caused by chemical exposure. And I'm also been a cancer survivor for 20 years. Now that my identical twin brother is also a cancer survivor, and last October we just lost his 17-year-old daughter to brain cancer. So there's no apologies for these companies. They're going to be putting stuff in the water and they're not telling us about it until later, leaking in and paying off officials and lying about it, like Green for Life is doing with the northwest side landfill. That's been leaching forever chemicals into the hear that our water treatment system does not filter us when we've been drinking that stuff. Thank you very much.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Kristen Howard. I'm an Ypsilanti Township Precinct 10 resident, also a precinct delegate there. I want to thank everyone that is here. I want to thank all of you as our elected officials for being here, for supporting us, for making sure everyone is aware of what's going on. One thing I just really quick want to take the time to mention, on top of what's going on with companies trying to come in and take over, it's actually what is happening right now with the AAATA bus system. I know this is sort of a side note. I want to bring this up because tomorrow is their board meeting. I actually posted this earlier that the AAATA board of directors is meeting tomorrow. Here's why it matters. We pay the transit millage, every one of us, but the area from Mungo to Hitchingham and all the way down to Bemis has access to almost none of their services. We are all paying those taxes and they're not offering almost any of the services to us. So Friday night, I raised this directly with the CEO of the AAATA bus system, his PR and marketing guy. I had their board member from Ypsi Township there. I also had a couple of our township trustees to help support and talk about what was going on. And he explained to me, as I was telling him what the problem was, he explained to me that it is not cost effective.
Yes, that's the problem.
To run their bus system in that area. And, in 2035, 9 more years of, you're talking about redrawing the lines for that. That's if our population density in that area increases. He's like, yeah, that probably isn't gonna happen, but we'll look at it at that point. I'm like, really? So what are we gonna do? Why I am bringing this up to you guys right now, my 1 minute left, is with that meeting tomorrow, I need your help to pack that room. It is at 6 p.m. tomorrow at the Riverside Arts Center. I realize we're all coming together today to talk about the data center and supporting our community and doing what we need. And not being able to say no to anything that they have and they're trying to push over on us, that's exactly what the AAATA bus system is doing to us. We have 1 representative out of the 9 on that board. Help me stand up to them and let's fix this. Thank you guys.
Thank you. Amy Summerville, I live in the city of Ypsilanti, I serve on the Washington County Board of Commissioners representing District 6, which is not right now the other side of 94. Denise isn't here anymore, but I just wanted to clear up that the County Board of Commissioners were never consulted prior to the community finding out about this project, and none of us signed NDAs that I'm aware of, at least I didn't. And I wanted to just address the things that we have done. I also serve as the Commissioner Liaison on the Washington County Environmental Council with BID, and we've been on top of this issue for quite some time. So after the last meeting, it became clear that maybe people, I think it's really hard to know everything that happens on different boards and commissions, but also at the county level. And so I put out a statement that clearly said I strongly support Ypsilanti Township official board resolution calling on the University of Michigan not to move forward with their proposed data center in partnership with Los Alamos National Laboratories. And I'll give you a little bit of a history on some of the resolutions that have been passed at the county level since 2024. So in October 2024, I voted in favor of resolution 20, which opposed the state legislation that would have provided significant tax exemptions for enterprise data centers. We, at the time, recognized all of the concerns that have been raised here tonight around energy and water, and the potential climate impacts for climate goals that they would bring. In September of 2025, as an environmental council member, I supported our resolution to recommend to the Board of Commissioners the serious public health, energy and water, and worker and climate-related concerns that data centers pose. In September of 2024, I voted in favor of Board Resolution 25-197, which directed our county staff develop resource information for local municipalities and encourage stronger review standards for proposed data centers in our community. I also just want to clarify that county boards of commissions in Michigan do not have authority to issue countywide ordinances or moratoriums. If we could, it would make this a lot easier. I wish we did. In March of 2026, I supported Resolution 26-055, which supported Jimmy Wilson's bill, our state representative, House Bill 5362, which would claw back the money that the state of Michigan granted, which was a $100 million grant for this specific project. In 2026, I also supported Resolution 26-054, which formally endorsed local municipal moratoriums on data center development and recognized the importance of taking time necessary to review these issues. I also want to say that I support and did support the moratorium that both the city of Ypsilanti and the township and Yucca imposed for 1 year for review. And I want to apologize in advance. I have to leave at 8 o'clock to get somewhere else to be, but anybody's welcome to reach out to me by phone or email. I've always been open and available to the township board. Anytime they call, anytime you call, happy to meet for coffee or talk on the phone. Happy to answer emails. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, resident of Ypsilanti Township, moved here last year from out of state. Was working with real estate agents, mostly focused on property and the house. When I got here, it was like, surprise, this is an issue you're gonna deal with. So I was disappointed, obviously. I am concerned about property values. I know that conversation came up earlier. So Attorney Winters, you talked about once this is established in Ypsilanti Township, it could, these are my words, it's kind of like a runaway train, right? Where's it gonna go? Additional facilities? Are they going to choose the brownfield site at ACM and have that, function for 2 years and then, oh gee, we've got this other line by Bridge and Texas, we're gonna put something there too. There's so many unknowns. And so property values, not just next to these data centers, but who in their right mind would purchase a property near or next to a data center thinking that that was a good investment? It's not. And it proliferates outward. And the question is, knowing that we're going to seemingly lose property values, how far does that go? Does it go out 1 mile? Does it go out 500 feet? Nobody knows. Because we're different than Saline, and that's a corporate data center, and this is a government educational facility data center. I don't know what our options are for potential reimbursement for property value degradation. I haven't heard that talked about. I want to use that term because I feel like if this is going to go in, where else is it going to go? We need to have the whole story up front. Okay. Next would be, I just want to mention this really quickly. I've heard people use this term closed loop cooling systems. Closed loop systems, any engineers here?
Yeah.
Need to be flushed.
Yeah.
Closed loop systems contain toxic anti-corrosives.
Yes.
Forever chemical.
So don't let these people use big words to scare you. They're not big words. It's not closed. It's temporarily closed.
So,
Where does that water go? And for the gentleman who shared his personal story about the chemical exposure, yeah, I mean, that's all of us, right? Next would be, Supervisor Summer, you said that the MEDC wanted to know how we feel. Michigan Economic Development, what does this stand for? Corporation. Don't you think if there's an investment of $100 million, that the expectation should be a return in investment of over $100 million? But as Leah pointed out, if it's over 30% of that money is actually debt payback, I don't know, it just seems like maybe there should have been some stipulation before the money was approved. So was the money approved for economic development when proper studies weren't established about what the return on investment or return on spending would be? So that's really important to me. I don't know that the grant of 100 million or how that went through has any economic development for our area. I'm really unclear on that. And finally, I'd like to say that the University of Michigan would like this center, They do have the New Mexico option, it sounds like, right? And that military infrastructure already exists there, so they could have this, you know, established partnership that they want. Wouldn't they have everything on their wish list if they just put New Mexico? That's one thing that's just unclear to me why they can't do that. That's all I have.
Thank you.
Jeremy Haley, President. First, I'd like to thank the board for the actions they've taken on this topic. And I'm here to continue to support them and people of the township and anybody else who is here to support you by not coming into other locations. Just note that data centers are toasters that don't make toast. If you think about it like that, that's essentially what they are. Going on to the elected officials who say well, let's see what we can get out of the companies that come in and do business with us. I say no to that. That's been a thing that's been going on for decades. I've been told that's just part of business. Example, in this county, Dexter had the Pelham building built because the developer said, Dexter don't have that main city line. I'll pay that $600,000 for the city line. And guess what? The project got approved. How many millions of dollars get donated to the Ann Arbor Housing Commission so Ann Arbor can get more housing from the developers? I can go on and on. Every government does it. Oh, I can't build that 100-site home there? Is the road too small? I'll improve the road. All that is bribery and extortion, put a different way, and we all accept it. I say no to it. And that's been going on for decades, and that raises our taxes and every infrastructure that we all have to pay for. Anybody that's in Ypsilanti Township know that we are paying higher township water rates because the infrastructure for the water was made for a greater system that doesn't exist now, and we're paying to maintain that greater system. Like, example, City of Detroit, built for a city of 2 million. They got 750,000, they're failing. They can't make it out of it because they don't have enough people for what the city was built for. Same situation. We have to start looking at our businesses come in and not say, hey, well, look what we can do, ask them what you can do for us, and say, no. If we can't do it, we just can't do it. And that's the end of it. And not take the bribes. Saline Township Data Center is giving over $10 million to Saline Rec Center. And the people in Saline are, hey! They're all getting buttered and paid off. And they're all happy with it. I'm not happy with it. Or is anybody here happy to get it paid off? Because the developers come, oh yeah, they improved our road. But guess what? On the back end, we're paying the Washington County Road Commission more to maintain that road, and our taxes go up. So we all have to start standing up and saying no to these developments that say, and what can we get out of it? Say no to that. You're all selling your souls to the devil pretty much. Thank you.
Thank you. Regards to the $100 million application, and that was submitted to MEDC. It was submitted by U of M, Los Alamos, in December of 2024.
Thanks.
It was supposed to be for 28.
Yeah, I don't think we should support giving any more infrastructure without more weapons, and we can't trust them to not blow up roads and everything anyway. I meant to say that. Preaching.
Why it's continuing to grow and.
100%.
So after they received $100 million, they did a bait and switch, bought the additional 124 acres, and now they're looking at going to ACM. The $100 million was specifically a tie bar initially to their 20-acre location, but at the same time, nobody came here. They have two pathways before they can go to the MEDC seeking that approval. They could have came to the township, which they did not, or they could go to Ann Arbor Spark, which they did, get a letter from that president, which they did, behind our backs, go to MEDC, get $100 million. That's not transparency. Unfortunately, the same person who signed that letter that gave them for that is now in the middle of negotiating with U of M for the sale of the ACM property. That's what this, the chat was referring to. Again, there's conflicts of interest all over the place. There's bait and switch. There's millions of dollars at stake in regards to all these data centers. At the same time, the tax incentives is what's driving this deluge of data centers coming into the city.
Hi, my name's Ryan McCarty. I actually am an Ypsi City resident just over the highway. So like what I keep hearing about with all this, and I think is enraging but exciting, is that there's a bunch of people who are starting to pay attention to the nonsense of these arbitrary lines. Like what's happening in Saline is terrible also for what's happening way over in West Willow, right? Like it's not like if something is gonna happen here out near North Hydro, that because I'm a city resident, that I'm gonna somehow arbitrarily be protected from that, that my kids won't end up sick also. If the data center goes out in Augusta, like, well, that's not my township, so, you know, I guess I'll probably be okay from it. Like, that's nonsense, right? And they know that it's nonsense, but the thing that I'm hearing is that people, even connecting to, like, the transit issues, is that everybody in the room is talking about how we can connect this to this, and we can see that all of us are in this together, that whether it goes on Textile or out at the old plants, if like that it's screwing us all over anyway. And so the thing that I think about, and I actually, Supervisor Stumble, going to the Saline meeting last night, kind of inspires me in this, is that like this community is doing a really good job saying no. Like
Yeah, for
everyone
real.
here, we all agree. We ain't got to convince each other anymore. That guy, he left. The end of one is, well, I mean, that guy's over there too, though, but, I want to say too, I'm a University of Michigan employee too, but I'm a lecturer, so like, if anybody's worried about like the role of their job and the, you know, the University of Michigan and actually standing up and making a say for the right thing, like, get a union, that's a good thing to do. I mean, that's, I'm a teacher, so I'll just do it like this. So what we can do at the end of all of this is not only say, let's keep this out of Ypsi Township, but say like, we just learned a whole bunch about how to keep these out of everywhere.
There you go. There it is. We the people, not I the person.
And those are the things that we can start to do, and that's what I'm hearing from y'all. Y'all are teaching me that, and that's exciting. So
Yes.
Thank you to everybody, and to all of you. Yeah. That's what I got.
Thank you.
To answer the question about why is it being built here, I actually talked to the director of science research for Los Alamos when they came for the science fair back in January, February. Anyways, they do have the ability to build more electrical production capacity. They have tapped out the state of New Mexico. And
Not my problem.
Yeah, the NMP, there it is. I like her.
in where we have decreased manufacturing, we do have possibilities for increased or we have capacity, and we also have water. But electricity was the defining factor, and being closer to the sun all the time. Whatever. Anyways, so the gentleman talking about data centers, Mr. Woo Data Center, I work in this too. All corporations in America have a data center. Usually they're used for file storage. They're
Right.
slow-moving computers. In the cases of high-capacity computing centers, or as we're just calling them, big old data centers, these are much different beasts. They're taking in a lot more power, and
This is for surveillance.
as a nerd, high-capacity computing is cool, but this is being used for surveillance.
Yes, thank you.
And I don't know about you, but
Validated me, baby.
we have fewer rights today than we did 10 years ago.
10 minutes ago.
10 minutes ago. I don't know about you, but technology has been used to hunt and deport our friends and neighbors. That's not just reading on headline. I have a real friend who got a one-way ticket out. So in the last year, I have been advised as a American-born U.S. citizen to not attend a protest.
Yeah,
Because of the ramifications that it may have on my family.
it's true.
And
We'll say, fuck them, get a gunfight base.
We're all connected. All of our communities in Michigan are connected. The entire Huron watershed is connected. But if you look at Los Alamos, they're responsible for the Trinity testing, which occurred in July 1943. And on a geologic scale, that test is detectable. Small levels of radiation have covered the earth. It is found on every continent, on the highest mountaintops, and even on the ocean floor. This is now a period of geologic time. The Los Alamos is responsible for changing the geologic record of the earth.
Damn.
So
didn't know that.
And you have to think that's heart stopping. But we know that the period from 1943 through the 1960s, because of nuclear weapons testing, we have a very cool marker that will be inside of rocks being created over the last 70 years. So yeah, there's no reason for more surveillance in America. But also, Doug, I love your words, I love your writing, but national defense is just a euphemism for killing people and destroying communities in foreign countries. So when we talk about defense, it's not, the end product is not positive for humanity.
At all.
That's why I'm here today.
Right.
Township residents, but you're right. I'm tired of my life and enjoy this community very much. I do not have much use for the University of Michigan. However, take a look at the assets of the University of Michigan and the assets of the township. I mean, we're looking at fighting a behemoth. I think we need a reality check, folks. This is coming.
Yeah.
What we need, I believe, is somebody with some intestinal fortitude and backbone who's going to negotiate with these people to determine what they will be able to do at the Brown site. There shouldn't be any idea to even touch that green site. I've written to all of the regions. I've written to both by snail mail and by email and the president. I am a voice in this thing. I don't want this thing to happen in the green field. We've got a brown field that's gonna sit vacant. It's sitting there vacant now. Make it productive. Will we get any taxes from it? No. But once there's something going on there, maybe some tax paying companies will come in and want to be alongside that. It's right next to the township waters processing thing. So perhaps we can negotiate how we cooperate with them to get the water maintained and purified properly. Yeah, it's going to be closed loop, you're right. So it'll have to be cleaned up. This happens all over in all kinds. I mean, we can just say, we're not going to do any of these things anymore. So what are we going to do? Bang on together. It isn't going to happen. This is going to move forward. And we can either take control and say, no, you're not going to do it your way. You're going to do it our way. And that
They're
is
just lying.
strong negotiators representing this township. And I think that's what we need to do is to have a brownfield and under our term. Thank you very much.
No, thank you. No, thank you. No, thank you. GM said vacant for years and didn't pay taxes. So we know exactly what will happen with these corporations.
Right.
Yeah. So my whole thing, if you are football, if you owe football tickets to U of M, you need to start turning them back in and say, I want my money back.
Boycott, I like it.
You know, when this came to us, it was in December of 24, the phone call, and we did a Zoom meeting with U of M, and State Representative Wilson was on the call. It was 20 acres, 2 office buildings,
with 200 engineer research type people. That is how it started. And it almost simultaneously, they must have been negotiating for the property next door. Because then it came to us that they wanted to buy the 124 acres next door, and it is on the banks of the Huron River. It came to us that they wanted, University of Michigan wanted to use computation to cure cancers, dementia, Alzheimer's, sickle cell anemia. I mean, and Los Alamos, what they were going to do, is what we were told, is to help stop the bad actors, which are not normally from the United States or from other countries, who are stealing our identity, they're stealing our bank accounts, our homes, and that was the national security. What we didn't know is that Los Alamos is curricular research and development. And I hear what you're saying, sir, put it in the brownfield site. We don't want that here.
Right, period.
That will affect the values of our homes, our businesses, and people will not want to come here because of that. It is a brand. Los Alamos is a brand. We've had Ford Motor Company, we've had General Motors brands here in the past. We don't, the Bomber plant was here and was converted into General Motors. Even the Bomber plant was thousands of jobs. This war that we're in now, we have no idea when it's gonna end. This is the brains of the organization for the Department of War. No one should want, or they should be in a place where it can be protected by the federal government. Maybe, in
That's the last
Southbridge
one.
or another base, so that if there is an attack, we're not, our community's not the victims of that attack. Or they can respond to that attack. We have learned so much. No one even knew what a data center was when this started. We had to go see it, Trustee Thornton and I, because no one, University of Michigan didn't offer to tell us. Ann Arbor Spark went after we went to this place in Ohio to see what is a data center. And it's heavy industrial, utilities, electricity, and a lot of water. There was 21 of them in this one designated location. Clearly heavy industrial use. It's clear. Then we learned, because you have to find out on your own, because people are not telling people. When they come in Saline, they did not cheer in Saline. I
Nope.
attended the meeting. They don't want it. They felt like they had to do it. We're taking the position. We're not, we don't want it. Our people don't want it.
God.
Everyone that came to our meetings and was talking about data centers, and that's what caused us to dig deeper, to go visit sites, to learn how it can heat up the earth from 2 to 15 degrees. How is that gonna affect the infrastructure, the water, the wildlife, the people, the noise? We learned in the West Willow meeting. The lights and the humming, the constant humming, and people who have any type of auditory sensitivity, it drives them crazy. And even if you have a low level sensitivity, it will affect you. There is nothing good that's gonna come out of this. And that's why, after we've learned so much, and we've seen what other states, their victims, if we can't learn from other states and say, stop. State of Michigan needs to stop. And let's research it, let's get the science behind it, and find out before it harms people in the state of Michigan. What's going on in Saline, 1,000 acres of farmland, there's some wetlands. And they're gonna only use they said 250 acres. But the amount of electricity that's gonna take, and it's on a well. They don't even have municipal water. The Great Lakes connection that we use doesn't go there. They're not using the Huron River and getting it from Ann Arbor. They are using wells. And already, the neighbor next door had 2 feet of their pond go down.
Yep.
And it's not even up and running.
Yep.
The effects on the environment, on people, we can't take a chance. We won't take a chance. I'm not sure if there's allegations about getting paid off. We're not paid off.
It's obvious. It's obvious you're not.
We have been threatened by many people
I'm
if we
sure.
don't go along.
So you're confident you can stop it?
We are gonna fight it.
100%.
We are gonna fight it.
It's a constitutional violation.
We can stop it. Right.
Facts.
We can because they stopped it in other communities.
Yep.
And that's why we want our county commissioners, our state reps, our state senators. We want them to help us because if they learn as much as we have learned about Los Alamos, it's not good to be here. It's just not good. And we don't want to do that. And if the more people, because we have a lot of people from other areas, other states, New Mexico, supporting us in that, but we need political power too.
Got it.
And that's why we're asking for it. And that's why it's so important. Like Amy Somerville stood up here and said, no, she does not want Los Alamos here. She said that. She's on the record of saying, Jimmy Wilson has said it. And it's because he's learned more too. When you don't know what you don't know, but now that we do know, we can't let this happen to our community, folks. And banding together the people power, I believe, and I know it has made a difference in other communities, and it can make a difference here. I have seen some online petitions. There's like, I'm a member of, I don't know, data rooms. You know, and there was something that was passed out to people, and the U of M Board of Regents really hold the power. It's not us. It's not the county. It's not the state. And the University of Michigan Board of Regents said, you guys, we heard you. We understand. We don't want to harm you. They can do it. They can make a decision just like that. It would be gone. So help us stop this. So there's a piece of paper that was handed out. I don't know if you guys received it. So go and call them, email them, talk to them. We also have it on our website. We put everything on our for contact. So we just work it. We got to keep pushing hand in hand. Let's walk this together.
We need more meetings too. We need meetings going.
Yes, and that's what our residents have asked for more meetings, which is why we're having more meetings. And yes, I did go to Saline Township. That was the second time I was in Saline Township. It's a shame.
What is the realistic possibility that any of these things, that any of those things are going to be at all successful in delaying or stopping this going forward? Because the key is to slow it down and stop it. Can't leave. Until you can gather more speed, right? So what is the possibility? I mean, it looks like the state of Michigan, possibly the county,
Lady thinks she's hard.
is turning a blind eye for some reason. I don't know. They're getting lobby money, something. But they've invited in these big cities. Now they're looking for support for it. They're turning a blind eye. Whitmer's not a guy go on a political election and stay here as governor. So what is it that they're doing or not doing? And why is this being inflicted on us.
That's our question. That is our question. Why is it being inflicted upon this community, on our people? That is exactly what we asked everybody to do. That's exactly. The thing is, they don't have to come to us because of the laws in the state of Michigan. It doesn't require the university to come to it here.
But does the action by Yucca in any way slow or stop this process?
Yes.
So we know that that's possible, that Yucca can theoretically stop this for whatever, for a year moratorium while you do your studies.
Yes.
The state can't say, okay, we're just gonna fast track this, get out of my way.
They can try to appeal it, that's it.
So they would have to take it to the court in order to
Yes.
accelerate the outcome.
Yeah.
So at least we have one, yeah, but at least we have one small.
Well,
thing.
water is very important.
Oh, yeah,
to this.
I don't think enough people know about this. No, they don't, people don't. I can talk to any one of my friends. I go to a lot of meetings outside of this type of meeting, and, nobody knows about it. Nobody. Pretty big, this roundhouse on the corner of Bridge and Texas. I go in there and I talk to the owner, Gus. He knows nothing about this. I tried to tell him about it a couple of times, last 2 meetings, he kind of goes over his head.
Right across the street from it.
Right, very much. Yeah, you know, and so I think that what really should happen is, why not throw a gigantic Ypsilanti party? Like a party, I don't know, get people all of Ypsilanti together, advertise the holy hell out of it.
That's a good idea.
All together.
I've never heard that yet. That's a great idea. You hear that? Great idea.
We only have what, a handful of people here. That's not enough to make a difference. We need lots, we need all the residents. And how do we do that? We advertise our asses off. We're gonna throw this gigantic party and something, just get their attention, get them to come there. And then the speakers about what?
It's a rally.
Yeah.
An opposition rally.
There.
That's the word.
First Amendment
Got
protected.
not enough people to make any damn difference whatsoever.
I like that. I'm about to put something on my site about that. That's genius. Genius.
27-year resident. I love my township. I appreciate everything that you guys have been doing. I do support the idea that we will stand and oppose the data center at any location within the township. I think it's a wrong move. I think the impact anywhere really in the county is going to be detrimental. It's bad enough that Saline has gotten it. I heard about MEDC and the potential that to me, it sounds like there was collusion in that. And so I would request that somebody with Attorney Winters potentially reach out to the state level Attorney General and ask to say, can there be an investigation to see if there was some sort of underhanded action that could be put down onto the U of M, MEDC, Ann Arbor Spark, ACM, I think it's called. All of those organizations should be called in to meetings at state legislative level and made to answer the questions about why there's been so much collusion and underhanded actions by each one of those.
Yeah, exactly.
And I said it earlier, follow the money, and usually that is where you will find the corruption, you'll find the dealings that give benefits to businesses that will end up being able to take advantage of us as residents. I like the idea of all of us being here to act as one voice and try to stand up to the giant. I do agree with you about U of M being so large. Will we beat them? Potentially, but lastly, one of the things I want to say is one of the most important things we as every resident and every member of this state and the United States nation is that we should be relying on the power of our vote. I don't think enough people vote.
Right.
And I think we should be looking at the idea of recall for those individuals that have action. We are getting thrown under the bus regularly. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, do you know what?
Good evening.
I see what appears to be workers on that site. Are they, you know, I'm thinking they're doing the infrastructure for the data center. Does anybody know exactly what they're doing? I think it's, maybe DTE or some other company.
It's DTE, and there was a gas line on Bridge by the hydro station. And they're going to eliminate that, and they're rerouting it up through the park, which is, there's already a, gas main there right now, in order to get it off the bridge. Now, that's what we were told. But I'm starting to believe like you, sir, I'm not sure.
Right.
No, because they have guards out there in their cars. I drive past it every
Every
day.
day.
So people that sit there in 2 different areas.
There's a lot more going on.
Yeah, they would block it.
Well, the reason, I do know, they hired people because a group of people went in and just.
Vandalized it? Oh, darn.
So they hired, so that's why they hired, people to be out there, but that is in their easement. Where they park.
2 areas. One over on, Textile, right across from Ford, and then right across from the,
Hydro.
yeah,
Roundhouse.
yeah, roundhouse. I mean, you can see it, what's going on every day.
Yeah. Well, that's what they said it was for.
Yeah.
How come they don't just make this an ice flow? There's plenty of water there.
Hi, my name is Shanae Swayze, and apologies, I'm not good at public speaking, so I wrote some notes. I'm a new resident to Ypsi Township. I've lived here for over a year now. I actually do promote a business, run pinkcars.com, if anyone wants to know what a pink car is. I moved here for my daughter, actually. I really wanted her to be in a Spanish immersion program. And Lincoln Consolidated Schools offers one of very few programs in the state. So my daughter and I actually originally lived in Ann Arbor, and I used to commute her here every day. We finally moved into the area. And what I am just hearing from the people of the township, the county, the board, related to a lot of things that go on, is that quote unquote, we don't want you here. Is it Mr. Winters? Is that to address you? As a brown person myself, you said that brown people here live on average 17 years less compared to others in the county. That scares me. This data center is also very scary. The effects it could have on already declining health, sounds like. Our community, water, nature, our children, and our future is scary. My question is, what is the township itself doing or has already done to protect, grow, develop, and heal the people here? Besides advocating, educating, spreading the word, talking to politicians, elected officials, what is actually being done? And if I'm ignorant to any formal actions that have already taken place, I apologize. But that is my question.
So what we have done is the county has provided that information on opportunity index. It started with Washington County 15 years ago. They have a map, and the map shows the entire county, and it made specific recommendations in Ypsilanti townships, 4197, 4198, and for Ann Arbor, Sylvania, and Pittsfield, on what they need to do and what the township and the city need to do. We need to create jobs. We need to have more healthier activities. And our residents wanted too. Walking trails,
We need to invest to get people outside more and moving more. We have a senior citizen center that has a very, it's small, but it's very involved with activities to keep people moving. The county just came out with a 5-year update from 2020 to now. I think there were 4 other communities in the map, correct me if I'm wrong, that were low opportunity. So it was in shade, different shades. And they are no longer low opportunity. But 48197 and 48198 has not changed. And we know part of that is because we lost our General Motors jobs and our, Fords that really provided healthcare and economic upward mobility. And it was generational because sometimes a whole family would work at those jobs as they said we have to invest in education. So it was education, good jobs, and healthier community is what we needed to do. We needed to make sure that whatever we did, we kept those 3 things in mind as we make decisions for planning and zoning. The schools are trying to do the best they can, but the reality is it hasn't changed. It hasn't changed. And what we need to do is make sure that Washtenaw County, who is the safety net, they are the safety net for us. Local government doesn't do education. We don't provide the health services. We pay our taxes to the county and they do them. And they have tried to do some things, but it is not making a difference. And that's why when something like this happens, we stand up and we fight because we know, based on their studies, and the University of Michigan is the one that did the last 2 studies from the University of Michigan Poverty Solutions. They have all this information and yet they choose to locate it here. And it's not 200 jobs at $200,000. That is not that's what they said they were gonna do, but that is not what they're doing. Ann Arbor has said, we do not want data centers. We do not want industrial zoning. And they're not gonna get it. They choose us to come here and do that. We need to learn from our past. We need to know manufacturing caused some issues in our environment and with our people. And it took a long time to correct those issues. So let's find the science, let's find the harm before you do it. Like Mr. Winter said, we're not lab rats.
Right.
So that's what we're doing, and that's what we continue to do. We invest in neighborhood stabilization. The biggest investment you have is your home, unless you're a business owner, and that is a large investment. We want to protect that. We invest in neighborhood stabilization. We try to do whatever we can at local level. But the county and the state continue to put the challenges here, and we're not taking it. We're not taking it anymore. And those are great questions that you asked. We can put that report, it's on our website, but we can put it with the data center information so people know, why are you choosing our community? This is not gonna help us. It's gonna harm us.
And that's
But they don't care.
I think goes against the education, the people moving, everything the township is supposed to be doing.
We have someone else in the queue.
Is there anyone, before Venus, Venus or someone else? Thank you for that question.
Hi, I'm a resident of Ypsilanti Township,
I've been here almost a decade. Before, I've always lived in, Metro Detroit. I just wanted to say to you all, what a great job you're doing. You're not getting enough accolades for the work that you're doing, and you're doing it with passion and I really appreciate that. And I wish that there was some way that everybody here could take a copy of this and give it to your neighbors. Give it to your neighbors that don't go out. Give it to your neighbors that are the hermits of the neighborhood or whatever. I particularly live in a senior complex, so in that respect, I'm gonna distribute this. I've been distributing it all over the web. I not only tell my friends, but my friends' friends, whoever, and I think that's the most important part, is to get people that don't know to know. And once they know, they're gonna be with us, and they're gonna say, this is wrong. And they have stopped it in other states. It isn't
Other
impossible. Yes, we're fighting a lion, we're fighting U of M, but if we all get together, whether that's with, God, say the word rally, or something like that, where there's enough area for us all to get together and all talk, I think that would be ideal. And with them putting, end of July on this, that's the really scary part, because if they're gonna decide, say this week at their Traverse City, meeting, we're not gonna know about it right away. We're not gonna hear about it right away. They said that they're gonna announce it at the end of July, so we need to get moving, and we need to get moving fast. So talk to your neighbors. I mean, it's something that's important to everybody, anybody, wherever you live, and whatever, economic position you're in. I think it's that important, and I thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
So I wanted to say emphatically to the individual that stated, choose the brownfield. No. I live there, in that neighborhood. Absolutely not. So I am asking that you all do not even think to consider and accept such a suggestion. Please do not.
Right on.
Secondly, I wanted to say it before our commissioners left, but they've exited the room. There's a thing known as deception.
Yes.
Yes. There's also a thing known as performative politics.
Yes.
What we saw just now was a performative political posturing. If I sit next to someone that is my colleague and one person stands because one votes a particular way, then the possible presentation is that we are aligned. I want you all to go to YouTube this evening and go to March 18th, 2026. And I want you to go to the timestamp of 3 hours and 18 minutes and watch. And I want you to see what you find out. So I don't want for us to get caught up in, a performance of, yes, I care. Granted, Annie did vote that way, and they brought it, and Annie agreed. But there was also a conversation that was held with our county attorney that was present and asked whether or not they should go against U of M. And Michelle Villard said, I would caution you not to. So our representative for Ypsi Township that covers the majority of Ypsi Township, Justin Hodge, said, I am going to recuse myself then. So, not only did he He then looked and read back and chuckled, ha ha ha, I am on point tonight. As if this is a laughing matter. It's not a laughing matter at all when it comes down to our lives. There is nothing funny about this.
Preach.
And not only did he recuse himself, but the chair, who also followed up in a letter, still saying and holding strong that she was going to recuse herself. Then she stopped and said, oh, we can't do that at the commissioner level. She said we would have to, no, not recuse, excuse me. We couldn't abstain from the vote. We can recuse ourselves. So she said I would be doing that. She then looked over and she looked at Shannon Beeman and said, what will you be doing? She said, I too will be recusing myself. All because they are employed by the U of M. So I appreciated the gentleman over there that said, I too work for U of M. And you gotta have some guts, right, and some hooks for to get up here and to do the right thing no matter what. That's what we deserve from our elected officials at the commissioner level. So when we hear from our supervisor Stumbo that is asking for our elected officials at varying levels from the commissioner level to the state level, everyone needs to be held accountable, and we should not get caught up in the illusion of what was being done just then, because we see he didn't stand. He didn't say anything. And so the reality is he needs to be held accountable and brought to bear. So, thank you.
Get him.
Anyone else that hasn't talked before we go into the second? Okay, this is the last folks have. All right.
I'd like to say one thing.
Yeah, okay.
About the plutonium pits. I've been reading about them, and they're all old, and they're gonna just be making more and more. And I could be mistaken, but I do believe that 2 of the facilities have been shut down for, they just environmentally killed everything. So, probably what they're, my feeling is that's what they're gonna be doing there.
Mike. All right, last 2 people, Mike.
Yeah, I'm just gonna do it very quick. So we have to also understand, and I think this got lost in what Doug's statement was, and I wanna speak on that, which is conflict of interest, right? I used to be a Ypsilanti Township trustee, and I said this at the last meeting, I'm gonna say it again today. I have stock inside of, or had stock inside of Sprint Nextel, which is now basically T-Mobile, and I still hold that stock. At one point in time, there was a discussion about putting lines through that was basically owned, or was going to be put through by the Sprint Corporation. I was on the board. I asked Doug at that time, because of the fact that I own stock in that company and still do to this day, would that create a conflict of interest? He said to me, are you getting a financial gain from trying to abstain on a vote? I said, I don't want any financial gain to try to abstain on a vote. And I voted. I want to make this clear. Mr. Hodge, Ms. Scott, and Ms. Beeman, and I want to make sure this is for the camera. The only reason I can think of that they can't take a vote is if they're getting some type of financial gain. He did not even up himself to speak, and he has people in this room that are his constituents, including myself. I live in District 5. We strongly need to realize when officials are not serving us. We strongly need to take action. I just want to make sure I recite what the state recall law is. It's 6 months after elected officials elected, in the last 6 months of their term, they cannot be recalled. Anytime in between, they can be recalled with signatures of 25% of the people who voted for them in the last election. Everyone here saw the performance tonight of Justin Hodge. I would suggest you think about that.
Thank you. This is the last speaker.
I started it, I'm gonna end it, sorry. First of all, I
I wanna say thank you, ma'am, Mr. Attorney. This is my 32nd meeting across the state, and it's been all over the state. And you guys are the first ones with the balls to stand up and say no.
For real.
All right, Jason's been with me in most every speech that we've ever given, and you guys are the first one that A, interact with the people of your community, and B, are demonstrating your willingness to fight for your community. So thank you for that. To the gentleman in the turquoise shirt, you are absolutely right. It comes down to your vote. Ma'am, you were just talking about it too. I look around this room and I'm sure I'm looking at Democrats and Republicans. And we can sit in a room and we can agree on a topic that affects our community. My concern, the reason I'm running for governor, is to educate people that it's the broken system that's been dividing you for decades. We've all been indoctrinated to believe it's the left or it's the right. It's this or your conscience. Not left or right. The Bloods and the Crips. I'm running for believing your individual liberty. Fighting each other instead of fighting each other instead of allowing you to come together on these topics, because the more they distract you and upset you, the more you don't pay attention. That's why this room wasn't standing room only. If you want change, I believe it was Gandhi that said this, you have to be the change you want to see in the world. It starts with you. It starts with your voice. It starts with your vote. I don't care if you vote for me or not. I'm not one to run on feelings and emotions. I believe neither belong in politics. I believe the government is by, for, and from the people. Therefore, the power is yours. You tell them what you want to do with it. Bringing back local control is the ingredients to having that success in your township. So if you have questions, I'm going to be around here for a little while. I'll talk to each and every one of you. But thank you, board, for what you're doing, and I'd like to shake your hand before I leave tonight. Thank you.
For real. You guys got a good board here.
There are signs out there, that were up front, if you guys want one, that is, says hail no, like that, that was dropped off, so you're welcome to get one. If you like one.
I might get one.
Is this meeting adjourned?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
This is my first, 1979, so it could be anything.
There you go.
Well, I have one right here.
There's too much to talk. You'll see when you go there, and it ain't done. We're just beginning. Like they were saying, get it started, that's what we're doing. I'm ready to go Article 1, Section 8, militia clause.
You post them at the community center.
Well, that's what I was thinking. For the whole village, you know,
Let's get it started. That's why I won't shred on them, right?
Yeah.
Like I said.
I got your card already. Where'd he go?
My stuff's, he's on my page. If you go to my page, you'll see all this stuff. WTPN.news. We the People Network.news.
Jason.
Yep. Yep. You'll see Anthony on there. I got meet the candidates. I got all the dirt on everybody. I'm not even biased to myself on my own site. Nice to meet you.
I am actually my friend that I was And I actually, my family's business is in $5 miles from. So like less than 5 miles. It's my family's community, it's a very small town. I would be interested
Call the number on the card. If I don't answer, shoot a text. Anthony's the same way.
So I want to tell her, talk to her, she's in love, just recognize his word. It's very respectful. When you ever have to, you don't have a love, but it's out there.
Oh, I know. You're preaching to the choir. You should have seen the same stuff. They're getting caught on the hot mic saying they don't want it, but we're going to do it anyway. Treason. Get the room.
Oh, it's awful. It's the whole
Ridiculous.
So, yeah.
There's websites. There's Michigan Against Data Centers. Get involved. Talk to these people.
Okay, so don't call Dora.
How do we do it?